Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, where our goal is to help you walk in abundance and leave a legacy. It's Juice with JJ. This is where I keep you informed about scams, financial controversies, and money shenanigans so you can keep your cash flow out of their pockets and funding your dreams. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. I'm excited for you all to join me for today's Juice with JJ. Today we're going to be talking about women and wealth. And what inspired today's conversation is I was driving back from somewhere earlier this week and I heard Christy Wright say on the Ramsey show, I forget the name of her guest, but her guest was one of the world's wealthiest women. And Christy told this story about how this guest had been approached to be on Forbes' list of world's wealthiest women, and she didn't want it. And so what Christy was explaining, the guest did not want to be on the list. For 3 years in a row, the guest did not want to be on this list of the world's wealthiest women. And so when she finally decided she was okay with the fact that she has this wealth and okay with broadcasting it in public, the woman who writes the article made the comment that most women take a couple of years to feel comfortable being on the list. Most women the first couple of years don't want to be on the list. They don't want to broadcast their wealth. They don't want to share all of that with the world. They don't want the judgment of the world. Okay. And interestingly, this is what really perked my ears when Christy was saying this. Interestingly, it's not the same with men. With men, when they get on the list, not only are they happy to be on the list, but they are jockeying for position and providing more documentation as to why they should be up higher on the list. Okay. And so that really made me think about today's topic. You know, why is it, or is it really that women are ashamed of wealth? Are women really ashamed of wealth, or is there something else deeper under the table? You know, women have made great strides in education, pay, promotion, but there's one area that we see a decline, and that is the number of women billionaires is actually declining from list to list. Okay. CNBC reports, let me read this for you. Women make up only 11% of the world's billionaires, according to a study by WealthX, which is down from 2015. The number of self-made women is even smaller. And we're going to talk about that in a second, because that's what really irritated me when I started going through this list of the world's wealthiest women, right? And so more than half of today's women billionaires, and actually in the top 10, you'll see only 2 of the top 10 were self-made. More than half of today's women billionaires inherited their wealth, compared with only 8% of male billionaires. So the men on the list mostly were self-made. The women on the list mostly inherited their wealth. And so when I heard this thing about women not wanting to be on the list and how that's actually very common, very few women actually want to be on the list when they first get on the list, it made me think about why. And so here we have the top 10 richest women in the world. A couple things stand out to me about this list. First of all, although a lot of people lost wealth due to the COVID and the things that are associated with that, you'll find that collectively, let me highlight this for you, collectively, they are $29.4 billion richer than last year. Okay. So of all the billionaires, 234 billionaire women in the world, they are collectively as a group richer. Okay. And here's another interesting stat. An additional 7 women share their fortune with either their husband, child, or sibling, down from 9 women who shared their fortunes last year. So what we're seeing is we have more women who have a fortune. Women are building some wealth, and more women are building wealth independent of another family member. Okay. I'm going to share with you these top 10 richest women in the world, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the details. Juice with JJ is supposed to be a relatively short segment, right? But I am going to kind of highlight this, and I want you to see something here. For those of you who are listening as a podcast, you can go out to Forbes.com and you can pull up this article that we're looking at, which is the top 10 richest women in the world 2020. On top of the list is Alice Walton. She's worth $54.4 billion. Her source of wealth is Walmart. Only daughter of Walmart founder reclaims her title as the richest woman in the world. Then you also have Myers with L'Oreal, who had the top spot last year. The granddaughter of the founder of the company became the reigning heiress. So she inherited her fortune. Okay. Then here we have Cook Industries here, Julia Cook and family. She inherited a 42% stake in Cook Industries from her husband, David, who died. Very sad that her husband died. Very thankful that he provided for his family, right? Then you have Mackenzie Bezos, who got her wealth because she is an award-winning novelist, right? But do you notice what the first sentence is? After finalizing her divorce, she ended up getting a quarter of her husband's shares in the e-commerce giant. Okay, so she does have some street cred to her name, but hey, she's on the list because of what a guy did. Oh, there's so much wrapped up in that statement. The next one you see here, Jacqueline Mars. Mars and her brother each inherited 1/3 of the 35 billion sales candy company known for M&Ms and Milky Way bars. Then you have here Yang Huiyan and family. Now, this is one that I couldn't quite tell if she played an operational role. This is a company that her family built. Okay, a real estate developer. Her father founded in chairs. They did some very good things in the world. Suzanne Clatton, BMW, heir to car maker BMW. Laureen Powell Jobs, the widow of late Apple co-founder Steve Jobs. She heads Emerson Collective. Notice how they start off. They start off with him. They don't start off with her. I do find it interesting. She's like, I'm not interested in legacy building. My children know that, if not like this here, if I live long enough, it ends with me. Now, I do believe that the Bible does say a good man leaves an inheritance to the third and fourth generation, right? I also think that if you have people in your life that are just trying to ride off of mama's coattails, then maybe it's time to cut off the coat. Number 9, here is the first person where it looks like she actually was self-made, okay? And this is, I should have, I'm so embarrassed now. I did not look at how to pronounce her name. I'm going to guess it's Xiang Hujan, okay? But I really thought I had the pronunciation before I went live. I thought I had it. I worked on it before I got on live. And then I can't find my pronunciation thing. Okay. I should have had that right up in front and center. But look at what she's doing. She's chairing the drug maker. So she didn't inherit this from her dad. She didn't inherit this from her husband. Her husband is a billionaire, and he's in the medical field. So I don't know what's here, but they don't say the same verbiage as everybody else. And the same with Gina Reinhart, who does mining in Australia. She's Australia's richest person. She built her foundation on iron ore. Her family has been in ore. So it's not like this was a new thing for her, but you notice she's done the thing. To me, it's really important that women see women who have done the thing. Not that it's wrong to inherit money. I don't think there's anything wrong with inheriting money from your husband or your father or whoever else, right? Because, I would love it if someone left me money. That I would like to think I would manage it well. And I'd like to think that if someone left me money, that the fortune would actually be used in perpetuity to help people and change the world. Whereas if you left it to somebody else, it might get spent partying, right? So if your kids are the kind that are going to spend all your wealth partying, will you go ahead and leave some of that wealth to me and to my nonprofit, and we will make sure that your wealth goes and changes the world, right? But seriously though, I understand that, especially in a marriage, when one person builds up a business, the other person helps, right? So I'm building up my business. My husband supports us. My husband does things to help so that when I am building my business, I can focus on building my business and not on all the other million things I would have to focus on if he wasn't supporting us, right? And it's the same the other way around. As you build a business, everybody's pitching in. Even my kids pitch in. Like right now, I'm plugged into the internet. So guess who gets the bulk of the internet? Guess who gets priority on the internet? Mom's broadcast gets priority on the internet. So what does that mean for the kiddos? This is Saturday morning. They woke up early so they could play their Xbox, right? and mom's taking all the internet. So they're sacrificing, contributing, and I make sure that they earn royalties on what I do. They earn commission for work that they do in my business. They earn royalties for giving up their Xbox time, right? So I don't have a problem with inheriting, but I want to see more women who were self-made not only get on the list, but stay on the list. And that's the thing that I'm seeing. And there's this pervasive cultural symptom where we don't, as women, especially in the United States, where it's like we really have this thing against wanting to proclaim that we are somebody. Here's an interesting article from Jessica Knoll called "I Want to Be Rich and I'm Not Ashamed." And she basically tells the story of being a talented writer and so many people being surprised. I love this sentence of this paragraph here. A dozen years later, when my first book became the best-selling debut of 2015, when my financial advisor urged me to quit my day job, when Lionsgate optioned the film rights and I delivered a bang-up script in 7 weeks, a guy from college believed he was complimenting me by musing, "Who would have thought Jess Knoll would be the success story from our class?" And you know what she says? Who would have thought? Me. I did. And she talks about how ever since she was a little girl, she wanted to be successful. And then she talks about a very poignant experience of being sexually assaulted at the age of 15. And she decided then she wanted to be successful, and she couldn't consider herself successful unless she was somebody powerful, somebody that nobody could hurt. The answer for her was, I'm going to be successful, and the way I'm going to prove that is money. And so for her, success is synonymous with money. How much wealth have I acquired? And, I got to tell you, I understand where she's coming from on that, because when we sat down the other day to think about what do you really want, a lot of the other ladies were talking about the love of their family and being surrounded by family and friends and all these other things. And I was like, I want to build wealth. I want to do good for God's kingdom, and I want people to respect me, right? And it's like, well, don't you care about love? Don't you care about friends? I'm like, yeah, I would love to have friends, and I care about love. But I've learned over the years that, some people just attract a lot of people, and some people, up until now, I haven't been one of those people that just attract a lot of loving people into my life. I've been one of those people that attract a lot of usurships. I've been one of those people that attract a lot of business relationships. I have been shown a different side of the world than many of the women in that group who don't look like me. We all share the gender struggle, but they don't look like me, and they don't have my background. They also don't have the shared history of what women who look like me go through when they find themselves building wealth. And so the fact that somebody has to write an article called "I Want to Be Rich and I'm Not Ashamed," and the fact that that article is one of very, very few articles to that end, is really telling about our society. I hope you've enjoyed this Juice with JJ. I hope it's spurred some discussion amongst you and your friends to figure out what we can do to solve this problem of women appearing, maybe not always actually, but women appearing to be ashamed of building wealth.
Love the podcast? Be sure to like, subscribe, and forward to 3 friends. You can ask a question or take a life-changing class at buildingwealthtogether.com. Now, go walk in abundance and leave a legacy.